On May 20th, 1927, Charles Lindbergh, a 25-year-old American pilot, became the first man to fly across the Atlantic from New York to Paris. People got excited at the news and soon began to expect the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. In those days, few women could fly planes. Among them, the name of Amelia Earhart was well known to the world. Amelia's dream began in 1920. In December of that year, Amelia and her father visited an event at an airfield in California. At the airfield, Amelia's father asked a famous American pilot to take his 23-year-old daughter on a flight. This 10-minute flight was a really exciting experience for Amelia. When the plane was just about 100 meters off the ground, she decided to learn to fly. Soon after that, in the beginning of 1921, Amelia took her first flying lessons. Her flying skills improved very fast, and 2 years later, she became the 16th woman to have a pilot's license in the world. In 1928, the year following Charles Lindbergh's flight across the Atlantic, Amelia joined a project to fly across the Atlantic with 2 male pilots. On this flight, however, she couldn't fly the plane. Her job was to keep a flight log on the plane. Amelia enjoyed this flight, but she decided she would do the same thing alone the next time. Amelia made a plan to try the same challenge on the 5th anniversary of Lindbergh's flight across the Atlantic. On the morning of May 20th, 1932, she took off in her plane from an airfield in Canada. She headed for Paris as Lindbergh did. She knew it was going to be a dangerous flight. The weather conditions were bad. It was very difficult for her to fly her plane in the thick clouds. Even worse, the altimeter of her plane stopped working, so she couldn't tell how high she was flying. She was worried that her plane would crash into the Atlantic. She realized she could not fly to Paris, so she changed her plans. About 15 hours after takeoff, Amelia's plane landed in Northern Ireland. In this way, Amelia became the first woman to fly alone across the Atlantic. On May 21, 1937, Amelia set out for another difficult flight with a co-pilot. This time, her goal was to fly around the world. But their plane disappeared while it was flying over the Pacific Ocean. In spite of a careful search, no ships or planes could find them or their plane. Still today, no one knows what happened to Amelia and her co-pilot. Amelia's career as a pilot was not very long, but she became more famous than any other female pilot in the world. Even now, if you look for her name on the internet, you'll find many pictures of her and the planes she loved. Amelia once said in an interview, "Everyone has their own Atlantics to fly. If you want to do something very much against the opposition of tradition, neighborhood opinion, and so-called common sense, that is an Atlantic." Even today, many young people learn a lot from her life and decide to fly their own Atlantics.